Hi everyone. Hopefully you are all doing well. I wanted to do a quick video, and I have to apologize because I posted a video probably over a year ago of this Black& Decker classic iron, and I kind of posted it and never really looked much at the video. So now it has like I don't know how many views, tons of views, a bunch of comments and things. So if you've been waiting, I'm so sorry. But anyway, one of the requests was to show ironing a shirt with the iron. Now I just want to give a quick backup. It's the Black& Decker, the classic iron, model number F67E. And just like the name suggests, it's a classic iron. It's heavy, it steams, there's no unnecessary features, and it's great. So anywho, this is how you iron a shirt. I just have a shirt here. Now I'm going to be using starch, and you can use I prefer liquid starches like this that you mix up. This one's linen. You can also use Stayflow has one, and there's recipes on the back. And you just mix it up to your starch preference and begin. So you're going to start with the tag side down. Spray the back of the collar and go ahead and iron. And just make sure I usually give a light tug just so you don't get any creases at the end. Okay, and once that's dry, I do both sides. Some people just do one side, but I like, starched shirts. Do the other side. Put that down. And then you move on to the portion holding the shoulders, which is the yoke. Now you can either do this two ways. You can either kind of pinch at the top, lay it flat, and iron like that, or I'm going to slide my board a little. You can use the end of your board, which is actually what it's made for, and you just kind of lay it over the end and give it a twist. You just lay, spray, and iron. And just make sure as you're doing this that you're not ironing any creases into any of the other parts, which they haven't been ironed yet, so it's not a big deal, but just give it a twist around the board. Iron the other side. Okay, move the board back now. Now you're going to do the sleeves, and you're going to start with the cuffs. So you just open the inside of the cuffs, make sure that second button, the gauntlet button, is unbuttoned, and you just spray the inside of the cuff and iron. And same thing I did with the collar, how I gave it a tug. I'm just tugging the opposite side of the cuff so it doesn't leave any creases. And then while you're on this side, just give it a light twist and go up this kind of button placket. You don't need to starch that really. Turn it around, same spray, iron, make sure to go around the buttons on either side, don't go over them. They may melt or crack or just become damaged, or they might scratch, not the plate of this iron, but if you're using a different iron that has a non-stick plate or something, it might scratch them. And then, this is the trickiest bit for most people. You're going to basically grab the bottom seam in the pit and at the cuff, and what I do is I just kind of drape it over the board and pull it towards me, and that flattens it a good amount. If you're having a lot of trouble, you can stick your hand in and kind of go like this to flatten it. But my shirts honestly are so used to, I iron them and starch them so much that a lot of them have the crease kind of, not hard, but it's kind of still in its place after washing. So go ahead, spray some starch and iron. Now, another thing I love about this particular iron is it gets really hot, like an iron should. Oh, to do this kind of crinkly area, if you just give it a tug, it usually opens up and you drive it right into the crease. Another thing I love about this iron is it gets really hot, which I think a lot of iron makers these days are so focused on steam that they almost dial back the temperature and amp up the steam, which is fine for most people if you don't use starch or whatever. Unfortunately, though, what ends up happening is it's like super steamy, and then the plate isn't hot enough to dry it. So it's kind of this like back and forth of like, yeah, your wrinkles are gone, but you know, let's say you are using starch or you drop a little moisture on there, you have to like turn the steam off. Like it just becomes this like little dance basically. Whereas this one, the steam is on, as you can see, and I'm starching with the steam on, and it's drying out, nice and quick. It's not, I'm not having to turn the steam off and play this little dance. So just doing the same thing on the other cuff and sleeve. And again, now this time I'm going to drag it in front of me since I'm going the opposite way. Just flatten it out. And give a light spray. Now I like a medium-ish to heavy, approaching heavy starch. I used to do heavy all the time, but unfortunately it's just starch by nature. While it keeps wrinkles and things away and makes you look crisp, it also kind of puts a layer on the fabric that makes it not so breathable. So in this, spring and summer especially, it's just hot because it's blocking, a lot of the breathing, of the fiber. So I kind of just stick to like medium now. And honestly, I've noticed no difference in terms of, wear or wrinkle prevention or anything. I would even say I'm going towards like the lighter side of medium. I wouldn't necessarily go light because that, number one, kind of defeats the purpose. And number two, it just, doesn't do much, but that's me. Now, you're going to turn the shirt like this on your board. Now I'm doing the front left side over your heart. Just pull it over the board. It should fall in pretty nicely. And go ahead and iron. And I'm kind of holding the top of the button placket while I go up. Be careful when you go over the pocket. Sometimes when you come back, you'll catch the pocket. So just, be conscious of that. You'll kind of almost subconsciously get used to doing it without having to, stop or anything. And then what I do is I take it off and I give it like a 45-degree twist. And that's just so I can get this area right under your neck. And also when I spray starch, I spray not too much, but I just give like an extra spray to this area. And then that way when I button up the shirt, it's almost holding around my neck, holding itself up. The back, I don't starch too much. I just give a light kind of quick spritz to it. And if your shirt has the pleat down the middle, what you do is kind of lift it off the board and you just iron straight up. And that's all. And it'll kind of fall back into place. You don't have to iron the kind of folds flat. You want them to be kind of more of a roll. And you don't have to go over it. You just simply right up as you lift the shirt. And that'll kind of make it, a more rounded fall as opposed to a hard fold. Same thing over the back. And now the last front. Give it a spritz, and same with the other side. Not too much more, but I'm just going to give a focused spray up at the top. And that way it just kind of makes that area a little more, stiff, and it just kind of holds up nicer next to your face. In between the buttons, not over them. Most shirts are fine with just in between. Some shirts you might have to come up the other side and do the opposite side of the buttons. Really depends on the shirt. I find that some shirts just want to stay wrinkled. And then give that same twist, do this upper area, and then you just hold to dry out that extra little bit of starch. And there you go. Grab a hanger, and you have a starched shirt. Now I Oh, I always button the top neck button, the top, not the first button here, the top one, and I'll hang it like this, and that just holds it wrinkle free. And another thing is it doesn't, you know how a lot of guys, you might see them when they put a shirt on, it almost like spreads at their collar. That's probably because they were doing this button and the shirt was hanging kind of spread. So if you do this top button, the tie neck button, you will be good. And that is how you iron and starch a shirt with the Black & Decker Classic Iron. Highly recommend it. 24, 25 bucks in most places. Heavy, solid. And yeah, oh, another thing that I didn't mention in my other video, what I did actually, the bottom, it's not intensely rough, but it's just not super duper, glidey smooth. So what I did is I just picked up, right at Walmart in the like hardware section, they have sandpaper, and I got the 400/600 grit. It brings each one, and I just went over up and down with 400 and then went over with 600, basically just to polish the bottom, and it made it like glass basically. So if you find that you're reading reviews that the bottom is catching things or anything like that, you can pick up some sandpaper and just kind of up and down and smooth it out. And this was $3, so $3 plus 25, so $28, and you have a beautifully smooth, perfect heavy iron that gets the job done and will guaranteeably last a million times longer than all the other ones.